The Earth Matters Committee really was born about 30 years ago. We then sought to say, okay, well, let's look at our corner of the earth where we are. So we would study. We studied the works of Thomas Berry and Brian Swim, Miriam Therese McGillis, and all of these pioneers who really were picking up from the work of Teilhard de Chardin, the Jesuit paleontologist, who had this vision of the cosmic Christ, and that we are all one.
In 2015, we affirmed a land ethics statement, which is really our statement as a congregation of more than 400 sisters of our relationship with the land at this point in our history.
At this point in history, our sisters are still active in fostering the mission of unity, and we're looking at our current world and its needs. And one of the significant areas that we realize is the sustainability of life. We adopted a land ethic universally approved by our sisters, and that has begun tremendous efforts here on our grounds to sustain life through many different projects.
We have gone through an industrial revolution, and I really believe that if we knew what some of the outcomes would have been, deforestation, a larger carbon footprint, and so on, we wouldn't have went that way. But now we know, and now we have the responsibility to correct that.
Here in our mother house, we've been gifted with 211 beautiful acres that have served educational and healthcare purposes, and also the spiritual opportunities for our sisters and for anyone else who wants to come and take part in those. But what we really understand now is our mission is to sustain our earth.
So in looking at what our relationship will be with the land, we looked at this 212-acre campus that we have here in Brentwood. And one of the first decisions we made was to take 28 acres of the land and return it back to agricultural production. It's land that had not been farmed in more than 40 years, probably close to 50 years since it had been farmed.
So the Sisters of St. Joseph were running out of space, and they bought the property here in 1896. And by 1903, they moved the mother house out here. And they continued cultivating the property and established a working farm and a dairy farm. And in that way, they were able to supply the sisters and the students at the academy, who were boarding students at the time, with fresh fruits and vegetables, also milk.
We were once the farmers when we were farming this land, but we no longer wanted to be the farmers. What we wanted to do was to give opportunity for other people to farm who wouldn't really have the opportunity here on Long Island. And we wanted to bring farming back to the western part of Suffolk County.
With the Sisters of St. Joseph's, we started with them 4 years ago, and they were interested in preserving their farmland. So they actually hired Bucolic Land Trust to help them preserve their farmland. And actually, we preserve their farmland through the county, for the Suffolk County program. And with the Suffolk County program, they require you to have active leases on the farmland. I thought to myself, my gosh, who are we going to get in Brentwood to farm land? I mean, how are we going to find people? I can understand out here on the East End, but how are we going to find it? So we kind of put the word out. And my gosh, the applications came in, and we did not have any trouble finding people to farm in Brentwood.
So I needed to expand. I had 3 acres in Ronkonkoma, and I was landlocked. I needed more land, or I had to stop farming, and I called the Bucolic Land Trust, and they put me in touch with the sisters. They said that there's farmland available in Brentwood. I said, there's no way in Brentwood. I grew up in Ronkonkoma my whole life. And I came here and I saw this magical place, and we've been here 4 years now. So we're here helping the sisters keep the land open, help keeping the farm alive in Western Suffolk, and servicing a wonderful community.
The part of the local community is really a very important part for us. Our charism has always been about what we do for the dear neighbor, and it's an expression that we have used for more than 150 years, 350 years of the Sisters of St. Joseph, since the time they were in France. It's about serving the dear neighbor. And we see this project as also serving the dear neighbor. Right now, we serve our neighbors by affording them the opportunity of purchasing good, healthy, organic food.
So we grow everything fresh, and we pick it daily, multiple times a day. We bring right to the front. And we're able to keep our prices down because we have no transportation costs. And that actually helps out the neighborhood. We're able to feed the local people around here. I never wanted to grow food in Brentwood and sell it in Manhattan. I wanted to feed the neighborhood, and that's what we're doing.
Many people in the Brentwood community receive Farmers Market Nutrition Program coupons, and those coupons are given for people who are financially insecure. And when we started our farm stand, there were no other farm stands here in Brentwood, so many people in the Brentwood community were not using these coupons.
The benefit of the SNAP checks, those $4 wonderful checks, is it gives people access to fresh fruits and vegetables that they wouldn't have access to. And it services an underserved community. And it's a great thing. It helps farmers out because we're able to generate more revenue. And it helps out the people that are struggling a little bit to get them more wholesome, more nutritious food.
So it's a wide variety of farming that's happening here. And we look to give people an opportunity to farm, to support organizations that want to do farming, and to use this land in the best way that it can be used.
The mission of Island Harvest is to feed people that need food. And on Long Island, it's very hard to believe that there are so many people here that don't have enough food to eat each and every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this is our second year in doing the farming. Last year we got about 6,000 pounds of produce out of the farm. This year we're hoping for 10,000 pounds. When we pick the produce here and we bring it to Island Harvest doesn't charge anything to anybody. When the people see the produce, they're quite excited of what they see, especially the quality of the produce. It's something that they normally don't see. I think it's the future of the food banks on Long Island and around the country right now. I think the people that they realize right now there's a lot of wasted space, especially on Long Island, where there could be food grown for people who really, really need it.
I think it's also important for our neighbors to know that they will have farmland here, that in a highly developed area of Brentwood, Long Island, that even though there's lots of development around us, we've made the commitment that farmland will remain here. And we're also at the same time putting an easement on 40 acres of woodlands so that those woodlands will remain as forest area in perpetuity also. And that's a gift to our neighbors to have 40 acres of trees in a densely populated community of Brentwood.
So we not only preserve the farmland, but they have the most beautiful woodland that we're helping to preserve right now. It's absolutely untouched.
So the sisters always, loved the pines. The property, in fact, was originally called St. Joseph in the Pines. And they have also always added trees. So when there's any celebration, they've always been planting trees and adding to that.
It's a pitch pine, white pine, oak forest here, and it's pristine. We have layers and layers of underbush here. And as we span around the forest here, you can see some very, very old white pine trees.
We have about 2,000 people on this campus every day, and as we went forward with our educational initiatives and our ecological purposes, we thought people ought to know what we were doing and why we were doing it. So we decided we needed signs. And as you go across the campus, you'll find about 25 signs in significant places, indicating in non-technical language what's happening there. This series of signs that are in this area, they're all for the organic garden.
So I really love working with the sisters because there's a combination of spirituality and the therapeuticness of being in the garden, and that's what I love most. You feel this Zen spirit that goes on, and they're sweet and kind, and just feel that there's God here, something bigger than myself.
We have what we call a ministry of presence. We try to be present. I believe that everything that I do here, or everything that we do here, is of God. God teaches us that we're all one, and we're all connected, we're all interrelated. What better concrete way can we see that but in a garden, particularly if you have some animals in the garden also, where one plant works with another plant, things seem to cooperate. The rabbit droppings go onto the soil, as do the goat droppings, the chicken droppings. It's all a give and take. Everything here is related. We feed the chickens feed us. We use compost. We compost everything that we cut down here. It fertilizes the soil. It's a wonderful example of sustainability and interrelationships.
So I was invited to the sisters about a year and a half ago, and they needed somebody to start a composting process here. So I collect all of their food waste, consumables, also any type of trees that they need taken down and chipped up and turned into usable soil. A lot of people, that are on the property, they're farming crops, and basically I am farming microbes for the soil because basically you want to feed the soil, not only feed the plant, which is extremely important. Sustainability, instead of loading up our dumps and leaching things back into the waterways and whatnot, we can reuse this here.
So the land ethics statement really led us to look at all of the different options that we would have in relationship to the land. And solar energy is a clean alternative to the use of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels really damage the earth and damage the land. So we now have a 4-acre plot of land on the campus here. And these 4 acres, we have a 1 megawatt ground-mounted solar array. And that ground-mounted solar array is 3,192 solar panels. And those panels at this time bring 63% of the energy that's currently being used on the campus into our buildings. Another aspect of our response to the land ethics statement is to have sustainable landscaping on the campus here. We didn't just put lawn underneath the panels. We actually put in a native meadow throughout the solar array. So as we are producing solar energy here on the campus, at the same time, we are also allowing our ecosystem to continue to flourish with bees and pollinators and butterflies. So that sustainable landscape allows this area of the campus that was a degraded area to continue to provide for the ecosystem.
Across the entire property, every time we are looking to do a new project, we are leaning towards native plants. So Sister Karen came to me with a need on the property. Every time it rained, it flooded the parking lot. Right behind us was a large hedge of privet. Inside the island was a dry well, but the water wasn't able to get through the hedge and sat on the road. So what we did is remove the hedge and went in the direction of building a rain garden instead. So what a rain garden is a shallow bowl. We dug out about 1 foot of soil so the water would go into the island and soak in the ground through the soil into the groundwater. When we had too much water, it still goes down that same drain that's in the middle of the island here. So then what was great about that is that water had a chance to slow down, get cleaned, cool, and go through that soil.
And now all of the rainwater runs off these parking lots and it runs into this rain garden. So it's cleaned by the roots of the plants and goes back into our aquifer system for our drinking water as cleaner water.
Instead of roots that are only a couple inches deep like lawn grass, these roots are 6 feet or more in depth. And so they have an opportunity to hold and grab more carbon and sequester more carbon within the soil. And so it has a bigger impact for both carbon, water, air quality, all those different things. Every time we're planting native plants, we are providing more and more habitat for the plants that would be found on this property and the animals that are associated with them.
The other option we looked at were meadows, and the grass is beautiful, and we have open spaces of beautiful grassland, but meadows really enable you to put in native plants, native grasses, and we've just been amazed to look at insects and birds and pollinators have all come back to this area. So it's just been an amazing, beautiful scene of beautiful flowers, natural grasses, birds singing, insects buzzing. It's been a fun thing to watch here on the campus.
So this is the meadow. It's about 3 acres in size. It was all lawn grass. We've disked it, plowed it, then put a cover crop on it, and then seeded it. This is only a year old. We have some mountain mint right here. All of these things are either food for other things or pollinators that are really important for the structure of the plants that are out here. There's something blooming here all the time from April all the way through October. However, the big show is usually around July and August time when the black-eyed Susans are out.
We know our planet is in danger, and it's because of the way we are living. Our overconsumption, our overdevelopment must change.
Overdevelopment of Long Island has caused us to have several problems with our water. And water is a critical issue here on Long Island, and one of the critical issues with the water has to do with our septic systems. So throughout Long Island, most of Long Island is Suffolk County especially does not have proper sewerage, and because of the sewer situation, we do have a great deal of nitrogen in our waters, and the nitrogen has really caused quite a bit of brown tide, red tide on our bays and our waterways. Also has caused some fish kill-offs and polluted waterways. So we here on this campus, we are attempting to be part of the solution. Part of being the solution is to put in an innovative alternative waste treatment system. We're going to be installing 2 new waste treatment systems here on the campus. One is a constructed treatment wetland system, which is actually one of the most environmentally friendly ways to approach cleaning sewerage. And the other is an innovative alternative system for our healthcare facility. And that will allow the removal of pharmaceutical products as well as products of concern and some waste products.
For more than 30 years, the congregation has had an Earth Matters Committee, and that's really the foundation to what we're doing today. We're able to do what we do today because we helped to study the information. This committee helped our sisters to learn more about the environment, about the foundational beliefs to why we're doing what we're doing.
We see what we thought was good for humanity really hasn't been good for all the other life forms, you know. So we are in a climate crisis. So how do we do our bit where we are, and then continue to educate ourselves and send that energy out to connect with others so that we have a greater impact.
For over 100 years, the Sisters of St. Joseph have been educators, and we continue to educate. But now the content is different, and we realize now that we need to look at the sustainability issues here on Long Island and what needs to be done for these environmental issues. So we're hoping to be leaders by modeling.
As a congregation, I think we have a responsibility to continue to do what we're doing and care for the earth as we're caring for it now. And just having it as a model, because people change one at a time. So people come onto our grounds and they see what we have done and what we're doing. And if it sparks a little idea in their head as to what they might be able to do, that's wonderful. And that makes it all very worthwhile.
With all that is going on these grounds, the agriculture, the solar panels, our meadows, the preservation of our woodlands, we are modeling a different way of living. And the way we use our resources can really make a difference. If we can do it, so can you. It's like that first little pebble that drops into the water and the ripples go out. These ripples will go out way beyond these grounds.